Greetings, everyone. It is Pseudo from MMOBuff.TV. Fans of the various shows that I happen to be a part of in the streams that I do know that I am a massive advocate for something called security. And I'd like to start out a small movement, something known as #SecureGamer. The various gamers I know who use the same password across multiple sites and games, or share their passwords, or simply use one such as password 01, yeah, they honestly concern me. In this YouTube series, I'm going to be going over tips, tutorials to help people become a much more secure gamer. Ignorance does not work in this world of connectivity, and we all know that gamers are not ignorant but educated, right? So let's be honest. In today's world, if you're connected to anything, whether it's via mobile device, your PC, your cable, heck, even your satellite boxes for TV, you are at risk. There's no way around it, but you don't have to live in fear. A common topic in information technology is something called acceptance of risk. In order to accept risk, though, you must be aware of the risks you are taking so that you can conscientiously determine what you're willing to accept and what you are not. Now, there is a trinity that I have found over the years when working with and helping friends, family, and companies understand about security. Now, to give a small little back history to me, yes, I do happen to have a master's in internet security. I have helped several companies clean their web servers from malicious attacks, and I have also helped many friends and companies basically become more secure. So I have a little bit of knowledge, and I want to share that knowledge because I firmly believe knowledge is power, and I'm putting the power in your hands. So this first video that we have here is going to introduce this trinity and set up the foundation for the rest of the series. And believe me, I want your feedback. So if you think you have something to challenge me with, bring it. Send it to voice@MMOBuff.TV, which is actually right there. And I will more than happily bring up your questions, your comments, and even your concerns in the next episode. Granted, if I get tons of them, I kind of have to spread it out, so bear with me because I still want to give tips out to people. So let's start off with, to start, we have the big word, risk. So what is risk? It's a simple thing, really. It's just the potential to lose something valuable to yourself. So in gaming terms, you could find value in, say, your bank details, your credit card information, your phone, your address, personally identifiable information, or even, because no one has ever done this before, say access to that character that you've spent numerous /playtime working on? That's never been something any of us gamers have done, is it? Well, how can people find themselves put into risk? And the answer is simple. You can use the same password across multiple locations. You could place trust in the various companies that you're giving this information to. This does include gaming companies. And you can also, simply by talking to people, put yourself at risk. This does not mean you should stop talking to people. See our community show Campfire to understand what I mean. But there are things such as social engineering. One of the big jokes that we have in the security industry is, how do you get someone's password? Simply ask for it. I can't tell you how many times that has worked. And honestly, that's not a good enough thing. It's scary how easy it is to get some people's passwords, even in a day and age where you will see news revealed constantly about, this latest place has been breached. Everyone's passwords have been stolen. People are still quick and easy to give their passwords away. Don't be one of them. But what happens? What does this really mean? Once you have risk and you're aware of what the risks are, you can then mitigate it. So what's mitigation of risk? Well, when you walk outside, you could be hit by a car, you could be hit by a meteor, you could be hit by a clown riding a unicycle while playing a ukulele. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but it is possible. It is a risk you take walking outside. You can mitigate that kind of a risk by, say, looking both ways before crossing a street. Hey, taking you back to school. Not to say that you're not smart enough to know that, but mitigation allows you to have a sense of control over the risk that is natural a part of living everyday life. So, when you find ways to mitigate the risk, you can build trust. Now, trust is a very dangerous topic to get into because most people don't easily trust. There's a sense of vulnerability that you have to place yourself in when you trust somebody else. And it's a difficult thing to really get into. It's a psychological concept. And one, if you guys really want me to dig into, I can. But through mitigation, by accepting the fact that, hey, if you're going to ride in a car, you should wear a seatbelt. If you're going to log into an online game, you should probably control the ports that your routers have open. That kind of stuff is all about mitigation, but you build trust in either the people you're playing with, the companies that you're giving this information to, the places you're storing information. And unfortunately, with trust, again, comes risk, because there's that sense of vulnerability that you find yourself placed in. Now, this is what I basically call a security cycle. Now, there are many different types of cycles, many different types of security things you can find out there. But to me, this is almost the holy trinity when it comes to security for us, the users. Not the ones who develop the systems, because that's an entirely different concept. We're not talking about encryption, and we will get into that at some point in this series, but all this really is just be aware that if you purposely follow the ignorance is bliss protocol, you have placed yourself at risk. If you cannot mitigate your risk, it is going to be difficult to build foundations of trust, and if something crazy happens, well, it's kind of on your shoulders. There are certain risks you cannot mitigate against, and I'm going to get into that in this series. But to start off with, we're going to leave it like this. You have a very simple cycle of risk, mitigation, and trust. Now, before I end this, I'm going to start by giving you guys what I call Pseudo's Secure Gamer Tips. This very first one is going to probably shock a few people. So here's this tip. When a site asks you to select answers to multiple questions for security to help you retrieve your password later, don't use real answers. In fact, use something completely and utterly unrelated. If they ask you for your favorite car, put in baklava. Oh God, that makes me hungry. Do something outrageous. The problem is, if you do that, it might be really hard to remember. You don't want to use the same answer across multiple sites. Again, this goes back to security. But this is why password managers are so important, and why I firmly believe everyone should be using a password manager, even your grandparents. So, do you think that you have certain beliefs that might challenge why I state that everyone should have a password manager? If you do, hit me up. Voice at MMOBuff.TV, get in touch with me, let me know, and I will address that in the very next episode, which, conveniently enough, is about password managers. Speak with you soon. Doodle pip.